I'm Wy'Kia and this is another episode of 5-Minute Meals. Today we will be making macaroni and cheese. Realistically, while I'm making mac and cheese, you can switch this out with any pasta that you have in your house. It's really easy to make, so I guess this recipe acts more as an Alfredo sauce base versus like an actual meal, but it does come in handy for any type of pasta. And while I do make the pasta itself, you can also add any side with it, whether it be any type of meat, any type of veggies, or anything else you have left over in your house to just add into it. But for now, let's get started into how to make mac and cheese. Now for me, I was lucky enough to have all these ingredients in my house. Now the things you'll need are cheese, butter, probably a lot more butter than you'll be comfortable eating, but I promise you it tastes good, so I guess it's worth it. Milk, garlic, and flour. 5 ingredients under $5. Now for me, I had all my ingredients in my house already, but I did do some research into how much it would cost if I went out to buy this. Now a few of these ingredients come in packages of 3 or 4, so I admittedly did cheat a bit because I only counted like the amount that we actually use for recipe, but in total it comes to about $4.50. And now that that's out of the way, let's get started with the garlic. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about how I cut the garlic and whatnot because I did mention more about that in my last video, but I am going to cut this into thin-ish slices. Not every slice is perfect, but that's okay. The goal is you would like slices in it so everything can fry evenly later on. And once I'm done cutting up my garlic, that's basically all the prep you need other than gathering your ingredients. So we're going to move straight on to pasta. Like I said, this dish just goes by actually really quickly, which is nice, especially during final season when we're all super stressed, but we still want a good meal. I definitely recommend this recipe. So with our pasta water, we're going to add salt. A lot of salt. As the great Molly Bass once says, you want to make sure our water is sea salty, so it actually brings flavor to the pasta. Don't add oil, because what happens is the oil coating the pasta makes it hard for sauce to stick to the pasta. So we're just adding salt and we're going to let this come up to a boil. And once this has come up to a boil, we're going to be putting our pasta in, stirring it to make sure nothing sticks, and we're going to let that cook until it's a little before al dente. We want to make sure it's not completely cooked because it's going to cook more in the sauce later on. And while it's cooking, we're going to actually take some of that pasta water, which is really good. Not only does it have salt from the water, it also has starch, which really helps to thicken the sauce later on. And next, let's move on to the sauce, which is the last part of the dish. Like I said, this is like super easy, which is really good because honestly, I'm tired from like finals too, so I'm glad I got to cook something easy. So what we're going to do is first we're going to put butter. Yes, I ended up using all this butter. I didn't think I would, but I sure did. First, we're going to let the butter melt until it's completely like melted or mostly melted, and then we're going to add our slices of garlic from earlier. And then we're going to add the rest of the butter, and then we're just going to let the garlic cook for a bit. Once you see the butter starting to turn brown, then we're going to add our flour. I repeat, do not add all of the flour. It will not end well for you. You're going to have a super thick sauce, and honestly, after my attempt, I even think my sauce was a bit too thick, so yeah. Do not add all the flour. What you do is you're going to add a little bit at a time until it gets to about this consistency. For this recipe, I'm going for a white sauce, so I'm not trying to brown it at all. I'm just trying to use it so it can help thicken the sauce later on. And once it's starting to boil and seems to all coagulate into one more thicker mass, then we're going to be adding our pasta water into it and mixing until everything's properly mixed together. We're going to let this cook for a bit. Once you see bubbles start to come up and start to thicken up again, then we're going to be adding our milk. And this is going to take a little bit of time, about 3 to 4 minutes of stirring until everything's nicely mixed together. Once everything's nicely mixed together here, as you can see here, then we're going to be adding our seasoning. I just added black pepper and cayenne. Honestly, a bit too much cayenne, but it's spicy mac and cheese now, and I'm perfectly content with that. Feel free to add any seasoning you want, although I do highly recommend adding black pepper in this. And we're going to mix this together until everything's all together into one liquid. Then we're going to be adding our finished mac and cheese into this and stirring until everything's nice and thick. As you can see here, it's a bit too thick, like I said earlier, so I'm going to add a little bit of more milk. And once this mac and cheese and everything's mixed together and it's a consistency that you like, then you're going to be adding your Parmesan. You can add as much or as little as you want. Again, I'm actually not a huge cheese person. I don't know why I decided to make mac and cheese. I kind of don't like the individual aspects of it. And as you add your Parmesan, you want to stir and make sure everything's nicely combined with each other. And once this is done, you can officially turn off the stove and call yourself done. What I love about this recipe is that it takes only about like 30 minutes to cook, not long. Honestly, the longest part is just waiting for the pasta to cook and the water to boil. But other than that, it's a very simple recipe and I hope you enjoy it. And here we have it, mac and cheese. Now, I did add a bit more salt after I finished filming because I tasted it again and realized I kind of wanted a bit more. But here we go. See, the thing about me is I'm actually not a big fan of mac and cheese. I really actually don't like it at all. But I like this one. I think it's just because I use Parmesan instead of cheddar. and everything's like kind of really thick in a way that I actually kind of like. So I do recommend this if you just want a quick meal or you just want something really simple or want just like to be like a little more fancier with your mac and cheese. I definitely recommend this recipe. So thank you for watching. I'm Wy'Kia and this has been 5 Minute Meals. Please feel free to check out some of our other content on this channel and I hope you have a great day. Bye.